What's up guys, Kyle here again, and today is FAQ'N Friday. I actually just got back from a long vacation, and a couple of you guys asked me why I didn't upload for like 8 days, and it was basically just because I kind of wanted to take a vacation from social media, from YouTube, from everything, and really just fully recharge my batteries. My girlfriend and I took a trip out to the San Francisco area of California and basically just hung out on the coast, checking out the national parks and being beach bums out there and enjoying a little bit of the city as well. So we had a really good time. I kind of stayed off my phone. I stayed off of YouTube for the most part and just disconnected a little bit to help recharge the batteries, and honestly, it did wonders because I feel refreshed, I feel ready to go, I feel ready to make some content for you guys and check out some new amps, some new pedals and everything else. So for those of you who asked why I didn't upload for so long, I appreciate you guys and appreciate you being concerned about me and about the channel. But from here on out, it's belligerent as usual. So, with that being said, let's jump into your guys' questions. Jeff C asks, how do you come up with your cool riffs? Is there any music theory involved? Thank you for your question, Jeff, and honestly, no, man. I'm a belligerent amateur through and through. I don't know music theory whatsoever, so any of the riffs that I make up on the channel that I play for you guys, some of them are Bushido code riffs that have been written by Derek Verici, and I'm just kind of playing what I know, but a lot of them are things that I have written myself, and I just kind of emulate what types of music that I like and write stuff that I think sounds good. It's kind of like happy accidents. Like, I generally know my way around the fretboard well enough to know how things are gonna sound before I actually play them. And a lot of the times I just think of riffs in my head while I'm just doing random, like mundane things in life. Riffs will pop into my head and I'll try to remember them, and then I will come back, sit down, and kind of flesh them out on the fretboard and everything. But yeah, there is absolutely no theory involved in anything I write. There's no theory involved in anything I've ever written. I've been in more bands that I can count, have recorded more EPs and albums than I can count, and of all that, there's been zero music theory involved. Now, am I bragging about that? No, I'm just telling you the absolute truth because I've never really properly learned how to read music. I've never learned how to write music. It's all just kind of been, you know, trial and error and basically learning songs from bands that I really like and figuring out what they're doing and kind of applying it to my own playing. That's why a lot of my stuff sounds like Buried Alive when I write, because they're my favorite band. I love the way that they write. But with all that being said, I feel like I could massively benefit from some music theory. I feel like I could benefit from guitar lessons in general. I really feel like it would overall make me a better player, because a lot of people worry about when they take lessons, when they learn theory, that they're going to be worried that they're going to be stuck inside the box all the time. They're going to be stuck inside that theory box, and they're not going to write anything out of it if it doesn't match up with the theory that they know. I don't worry about that at all. I really don't care, because if something sounds good to my ear, I don't care if there's any theory behind it. I don't care if it kind of actively goes against, you know, common music theory or common musical knowledge. If I like the way it sounds, I'm going to write it and I'm going to leave it that way, because in the end, that's all that really matters. Does it ring true with me? Does that riff that I'm playing, does it do anything for me? If it does, it's gonna stay. So I think learning music theory and being able to apply that on top of what I already know, how I already write riffs and songs, and be able to structure things a little bit better, I only think that it would help. And I think that it's something that I should definitely invest some time into. If you guys have invested time into music theory and you apply it to metal and stuff, let me know down below in the comments, what route did you go? Did you just take lessons from a local teacher? Did you guys check out any online courses to learn music theory from? And if you did, how do you feel it benefited you? Did you stick with it? Is it something that you really feel like upped your game as far as music and songwriting are concerned? Really curious, and I'm gonna rely a lot on what you guys have to say, because I really don't want to sink the time into it unless people tell me that they feel that it is worth it, unless they feel that they have become a better player and a better songwriter because of it. I'm sure that that's gonna be the case, but still, I would like to hear from you guys, so leave that down below in the comments for me to check out. Next question comes from Gilo Conti, and he says, hey Kyle, wanted to get your opinion on the big shift towards bespoke, custom, and just overall high-end gear. The list of companies making high-end stuff is just getting crazy, but it seems like rock and roll is becoming a luxury to some extent. It also seems like the market doesn't keep these folks in business. Got an opinion on the resale value of top-tier custom gear? Thanks. Thanks for your question, man. That is actually a really interesting one. That is something that I have noticed to an extent as well over the past maybe, 5 or 6 years since I really started jumping into collecting gear and actually started paying attention to the high-end stuff. It may have been like this before that because I wasn't really paying attention to the high-end stuff. I was just trying to hunt down all the cheap PV gear that I could for the longest time because that's all that I could really afford. So yeah, over the past 6-7 years, it really just seems like there are a lot of high-end companies that have kind of come out of the woodwork, especially in the amp segment of the market. Now, of course, Friedman has been around. He's been in the industry for a long time. But as far as modded Marshall type circuits go, Friedman has pretty much taken over. I mean, Bogner is definitely still there, but the popularity of Friedman versus Bogner, I see Friedman's all over the place. I don't see Bogner's nearly as much. And when I was getting into gear in 2010, 2011, a lot of people were talking about Bogner being kind of like the end-all be-all when it comes to boutique high-gain amps. The Uberschall was kind of like the dream amp for a lot of people, and now that has shifted over to, the Friedman BE stuff. Even if you're not into the modded Marshall thing, a lot of people are really highly seeking the BE100 or the BE100 Deluxe or the Butter Slacks. And really, when it comes to boutique high-gain amps, I really think Friedman is kind of the name that gets associated with that. Now, there have been other companies, including Driftwood. They're a new company that's kind of come out over the past 10 years. Mezzabarba, you guys know I love the Mezzabarba stuff. They are a newer company that has come out. On top of that, you've got Dover, you've got Omega, you've got KSR. There is no shortage of companies who have been started within the last, 10 to 15 years that are now very popular within the industry. But as far as them kind of taking over and rock and roll becoming a luxury, I don't really think so. I mean, I think the prices of gear have increased quite a bit over time, like stuff that people were using. That was a really poorly formed sentence. The stuff that people were using in the 80s, or wow, why am I struggling so bad with that? Grammar is tough. The stuff that was used back in like the 80s was just way easier to come by because there was less of it. So people pretty much had to buy more of the same. People would only have a couple of options when it came to professional grade gear, because let's remember, PV wasn't really considered professional grade gear in the 80s. So it was pretty much Marshall, and towards the end of the decade, Mesa kind of made itself known. And then Soldano was like the top end of everything in the 80s. So there really wasn't much variation. I mean, you basically just had to buy some sort of Marshall, either new or on the used market, and Gibson Les Pauls at the time kind of came back towards the late 80s. I guess Guns N' Roses sort of brought those back, but stuff that we covet now was much cheaper back then. At least from talking and from listening to people speak about it, it was way more affordable. But we have just kind of, the vintage gear market has just absolutely exploded, as well as the boutique gear market has absolutely exploded. So with that being said, seeing a lot of the bands who play rock and roll, I mean, we're talking bigger bands, of course they're using more, high dollar equipment because they can. I'm sure a lot of them get either artist deals or artist endorsements just to play some of the stuff that they play, as artist deals and endorsements have always been a way for companies to market themselves out to people. So that makes complete sense in my opinion. But I would say it's almost the opposite. I really feel like now more than ever, we have affordable options that are way above what was affordable back in the day. I mean, in the late 80s, early 90s, a budget guitar was probably an absolute piece of garbage. I know when I got my first guitar, I believe it was 2000 was when I got my first electric guitar. I got a Squier Fat Strat, and even that was way better than I'm sure what was available 10 to 15 years before that in the budget segment. So now I feel like you can pick a $500-$600 guitar off the wall and it is just going to be great pretty much right out of the gate. And companies like LTD and Schecter and even Epiphone now have really just kind of stepped up the game on the entry level and the budget guitars just being ready to go. All you need to do is set it up and you're ready to rip, and most of them have quality components on them, quality hardware on them, better pickups. Back in the day, you would not get name brand pickups in cheap guitars. They would sound terrible. They would be something that would just be purchased in bulk format to throw in the guitars and send them out the door. Now you're getting well thought out pickup choices from the major manufacturers, and it's not really a matter of you needing to upgrade. It's a matter of you needing to change things to fit your taste and to fit what you are going for. So not only that, but we have more choices than ever as far as amplifiers. A lot of amplifiers have been released in the last 10 to 15 years that are not only cheap to buy new, even if they've been discontinued, you can buy them super cheap on the used market. Case in point, I made a video on the Jet City JCA 50 the other day, and that thing got tons and tons of praise in my video, and I know tons of people already love that amp well before I demoed it, and know that it is basically like a Soldano hot rod, but one that you can find on the used market for $300 to $400, and you're not gonna beat that in today's climate. So there are lots of options for the budget-minded guitarist. You can sound professional without even breaking $1,000 on your full rig if you shop smart on the used market. Again, this is a video that I would like to tackle when I get some more time. My girlfriend is off in the summer, so my recording video schedule has been severely limited. I built up a bunch of videos before she went on break. That way I could just kind of edit things as the summer went on, and then when she goes back to work, I'll be able to kind of dive back into doing my more in-depth videos and everything. But that is a video that I very much want to touch on, because I believe now more than ever it is easier to get a great tone out of a budget rig, especially if you're shopping on the used market. And yeah, it's kind of cool to play expensive gear. It's kind of always been like that. It's kind of like the tone snob type thing. People think that it's cooler to walk out and play on a more expensive rig and just kind of have that air of exclusivity to them. Makes them feel and look more like a rock star, I would imagine. I'm not really sure. But even though a lot of bands are doing that, now more than ever, you are capable of matching their tone, or at least getting in 95% of the way there at a fraction of the cost. So to kind of juxtapose your statement and your question, yes, I do agree with you that a lot of bands are playing more high-end gear than ever, but at the same time, I think it is easier than ever to get a great tone on a budget. So that's that. Richard asks, will you give a quarter note triplet lesson using your go-to rig? Thank you for the question, man, and I appreciate your confidence in me to be able to teach you guys how to play something, but man, I am just not the guy to go to. I wouldn't know where to start on giving lessons. I don't, as I said earlier in this video, I know nothing about music theory. I know nothing about proper technique. I have just picked up a guitar and played from the start, so I would love to be able to help you guys in that regard, but I'm just not capable. I'm not the guy to go to. But you know who is? My buddy Jamie Slays. He has started doing videos with Marty over at Marty Music. So congrats to Jamie Slays on landing that position. He is now the resident metal guy at Marty Music. But if you guys are looking for metal lessons, I would say definitely hit up Jamie Slays, because he is going to be able to teach you much better than I would ever be capable of. He's a much better player, and he's been giving lessons for a long time. So hit up Jamie Slays. If you're looking to improve your playing, I know I am, and I'm actually going to be doing a video with Jamie sometime here soon. You should hit the man up. Cabal Drummer says, dude, you should go over your practice routine. Maybe something for next Friday. Final question comes from Ben Burskak. Maybe? And he asks, hey Kyle, love your channel. Is there any reason that you don't do demos of high gain combo amps? Especially nowadays when a lot of gigging and at-home musicians don't have or need half stacks anymore. I have a Mesa Rectiverb 50 combo that's loud enough for most gigging musicians, and amps like that are much less expensive than their head and cab counterparts. Thank you for the question, Ben, and I actually am not opposed to doing combos. I have reviewed a couple combos on this channel, and I have a couple more waiting in the wings for review. The reason that I don't personally play them or choose to play them out is because most combos are open back, and if they're not open back, they are in a small sealed, the speaker is in a small sealed cabinet, and I just don't like the way that that sounds, either of those. I don't like the way open back combos sound. I don't like small cabinets because they just don't produce the desired result, the result that I'm after, which is a big but tight and percussive chug, and you definitely can't get that out of an open back combo. A super small cabinet combo depends on the speaker and the amp, but overall you're still gonna limit yourself quite a bit. So I have to let my dog out real quick. You gotta go potty? I hear you pacing all around the house. Come on. All right, I'm back. But anyways, yes, I am not opposed at all to doing combos. I just need to essentially get more of them coming through here. I try not to purchase combos because they are pretty hard to get rid of once you get them. You have to find the right seller or the right buyer. I don't really like shipping combos because they're very easy to damage with how big and heavy that they are. So there are reasons why I do amps and cabs, and it's because I can get cabs for really cheap as part of package deals, and amp heads are easy to ship and easy to come by at good prices for me. So if companies ever want to send me a combo to demo, I will absolutely demo a combo amp. I've actually spoken to a company already about demoing a couple of their new combos that are coming out sometime soon, so you guys should see them on the channel whenever they are available. I am not opposed to combos whatsoever, but for my own personal taste and for the way that I run this channel, which is I buy things and then I sell them once I'm done with them, so I don't have to rely on companies sending things to me, or I don't just buy things and then just stack up a whole bunch of gear that I don't need. I buy things at a good price and then I resell them when I'm done. Well, combos are hard to resell, and typically they are hard to get at a good price too, because there's just not nearly as many of them available on the market. So those are the reasons that I tend to stay away from demoing combo amplifiers on the channel. I am not opposed to them by any means, and what you are saying is correct. A lot of people are moving towards smaller rigs. If they're not moving towards a 1x12 50 watt combo, much like the Rectiverb 50 that you have, they're moving towards like a 20 or 30 watt head with a 1x12 or a 2x12 cab. So everything is getting smaller because venues are getting quieter. You're not allowed to turn up as high. Most places that you play hardcore and, you know, really underground metal, yeah, you're probably still going to be playing 4x12s and big amps, because a lot of the venues that you play are going to be unmiked and just really DIY, which is something that I love, by the way. I know you guys like to make it seem like it's unprofessional. Not everybody, but a lot of people do. But I love that rawness. I love the underground music scene. But to be able to compete in those situations, most of the time you need a 4x12 and a big 100 watt tube amp, at least a 50 watt tube amp, to be able to keep up with the loud volume of the rest of the band with no PA for anything except for the vocals. So that is why I tend to stick to those things, because that is the world, that is the realm that I come from, that is where I'm comfortable, and that's where a lot of the viewers of this channel reside too. They definitely are into the hardcore scene or the underground metal scene. They come from the same place that I do, and I made this channel to relate with people like myself who didn't have a voice on YouTube before. So that is why I do what I do, man. But I am not opposed to combos. I'll say it 5 more times because apparently I really like to repeat myself. But I think I just said but 4 times in the last minute. So I'm going to shut up. We're going to wrap this video up. Thank you for your question, man. Thank you everybody who left questions on that episode. And for next week, leave your questions down below in the comments so I have something to respond to. This one, again, a lot of people left comments responding to what I said in this episode, but you guys aren't leaving me questions. So I'm actually going to ask you, should I put a poll up every week on like Wednesday before my FAQ'N Friday video for you guys to ask questions there? Or should I have you drop the questions down below in this video? Because I don't want you to refrain from leaving comments on the subject matter of this particular video, but it also just seems to be getting to the point where people are commenting on the subject matter of the video and not leaving as many questions for me to answer. So maybe I'll try that out for next week. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. If you want to support the channel, you can always buy some Belligerent Amateur merch that is down below the description of this video. Already sold a lot of t-shirts and tank tops and even a couple hoodies, so that is really cool. If you want to support the Belligerent Amateur Nation, you can help me out by buying those t-shirts. Get yourself a cool piece of merch, and puts a little bit of money in my pocket in order for me to keep doing this. You can also visit my Sweetwater affiliate link, where you click that link, buy yourself something nice from the fine folks at Sweetwater. I get a little kickback. It costs you nothing extra, and it helps me afford more gear to demo for you guys on this channel. I would greatly appreciate it. Or you can add your name to this list of fine people by joining my Patreon community, supporting the channel directly that way, and as a side benefit, I'll love you forever. I should probably film 5 more videos today because I am like on fire right now. I haven't had to redo hardly anything. But anyways, guys, thanks so much for watching. Have a great weekend. Kyle here again. We'll see you next time.
You know what this wall is missing? Another amp. There we go.